My name is Lucy. I am an interior decor specialist, an evangelist, a wife, a mother of one, and a grandmother of triplets. Before we continue with the story, do not forget to click on the notification button in order to get notified at every new video posted. And if you've been touched by the story, click on our PayPal link to help us touch more souls. May God bless you. I was born to wonderful parents. In fact, my parents were the best in the world. They covered me with love, care, affection above all. They taught me everything that was right according to God's word. It's true that one can never really say his life is perfect, but my childhood was a good one. I had friends who used to complain about their parents fighting all the time, and others crying because their parents couldn't provide their needs. And I just couldn't understand because I was provided of everything a child could ever dream of, so I had no reason to complain. I always promised them I would make the rest of their days the best of their lives, and they told me they were really lucky to have a child as me. Growing up, I loved repairing things that fell into my hands, starting from my toys, my parents' clothes, their shoes, bags, our house, the garden, and even their cars. My watchword was, everything can be fixed no matter how damaged it is. When I started doing so, my mom would shout at me, saying that I was being destructive, but my dad would tell her to observe me first and see how it ends. After some time, they both noticed all I wanted was to give a new look to the things I found old and which had lost their value. Time went on by and I grew up, became a very beautiful young lady, fell in love with David, a good friend of mine at the university where I studied interior design and decor. He was 2 years ahead of me and was a student in the Department of Fine Arts. After completing my studies, I started working with a chain of hotels, and this caused me to travel a lot. David and I lost sight of each other, though we kept talking on the phone. With time, the relationship began to weigh on my side, and he was the one mostly calling and checking on me, and traveling to see me despite his busy schedule at the National Museum where he worked as a director. We had been engaged for 2 years, and he was getting worried. Our plans were us working for 2 years, saving as much as we could, setting up our own business, getting married, having kids, raising them with the love and care in this world. David and I were two bulldozers who were very passionate about what we did. My parents, who already knew about our relationship and knew David's plan of marriage, began to bother about me and tried at all costs to advise me on my lifestyle and relationship with others and above all with God. But the truth is, I never really had time to sit down and ponder about everything that they were saying. I told David that I needed a break from our relationship, and I know it was going to wreck him because I was the first person he had ever loved. But this didn't stop me. He cried and tried getting me to tell him the real problem, and I told him nothing was wrong, and that was just the truth. I was just feeling too comfortable, so my priorities began shifting. It is true it had been 5 years since I graduated, and I had gradually shifted from my initial plans of life for David, my parents, and also the place of God. My parents asked me to come home so we could at least spend Christmas together after so many years like the old days. I brought up all excuses because I knew they would just try to summon me on my relationship with God and David too. I told them I had a huge work to do since the company for which I worked was going to inaugurate a new hotel in the city. It wasn't true, but I had to say this so I could keep them off ears. To my greatest surprise, 2 days later they were at my door. On seeing them, the first thing I felt was anger. "Mom, Dad, what are you doing here?" I asked in a low but stern tone. "Won't you let us in first?" my dad said with a lovely smile. I reluctantly opened the door and watched them struggle with their bags into the house. Immediately they sat. I went and sat beside them, and for some time they didn't say anything. So what are you guys doing here?" I broke the silence, and instead of replying, they both took me in their arms. Totally confused, I just stayed there with their arms and embrace around me, which felt so good by the way, but yet stubborn, my heart wouldn't give in. "We came to check on your princess and spend time with her," my mom spoke as they both let me go. "Mom, Dad, I really miss you guys too, but the truth is that the job is getting the most of me. Seriously, if I could, I would come home every holiday, but as you know, Holiday periods instead mean more work in my domain. And as I'm speaking to you guys, tomorrow I have to be leaving for South Africa, where we'll be preparing to inaugurate a new hotel. I'm so sorry I spoke with guilty eyes. It's fine, we understand, my daughter. Listen, and listen well though. The book of Proverbs say you should enjoy the days of your youth, but also remember your Creator in these same days. For a time will come when you will no longer have the strength. And also remember that only a fool stores up riches, planning to enjoy tomorrow, for tomorrow does not belong to you. Vanity upon vanity, everything is vanity. Like the writer, I pray the Lord might teach you to number your days on this earth, my daughter. I had seen all the faces of my father, but never had I seen him so serious. Something about him seemed weird. Anyways, I just drove off the silly thought and told him I had heard. Your father is right, Esther. You keep on traveling from place to place, meeting new people who are total strangers, visiting new places, but never have you visited a church. Who do you think will help you if you're down? These total strangers? Your job? Your collaborators? Who you barely even see? You remember all the Bible teachings and stories we gave you? You remember how you always promised to take care of us? Remember your plans with David? Think twice, my daughter. I heard you both. I will think about it. I replied reluctantly, then showed them their room. Very early the next morning we prayed together, and they took off to the airport. I asked them why they were leaving so early. They said they wanted to get back home on time to attend the evening Sunday service. Immediately they left, I went back to sleep, woke up an hour later to warm my bath, and was checking on some clothes to wear for my program of the day. Some friends and I always reserve the Sundays for spa, shopping, restaurant, in fact, every crazy thing we could do. We worked the whole week, so Sunday was the only day we could pamper ourselves. As I was checking on my clothes, my phone rang. I picked it up, and it was a strange number. The voice at the end told me my parents were involved in a ghastly car accident in which they lost their lives. It took me some minutes to actually realize what was going on. I took my car and ran to the hospital. I insisted on seeing them, but the doctors wouldn't let me. After making sure I was a little calm, they took me to see my parents' mortal remains. It was indescribable. My parents' bodies were in pieces. No, it can't be. I just wish them safe journey. It can't be. Not my parents. I screamed and started running out of the hospital, and the nurses got hold of me, and after a long struggle, I was injected a substance to calm me down. On waking up, everything around me was blank. I could just see nothing. It just felt like I was continuously falling from the sky. The doctors tried to get me to talk, but I was buried in silence and tears. After conducting a series of tests on me, they found out I was sinking into depression. They contacted my colleagues to inquire about any other family I had, since I was going to be admitted and someone had to take care of my parents' burial for me. That's how David came, took care of everything concerning my parents' corpses, and gave them a befitting burial. I stayed in the hospital for 5 months, and he quit his job to stay with me. When I finally regained my senses, he explained everything to me, and I felt like taking my own life. What kind of monster am I? I killed my parents. I almost destroyed your life. Just look at me, David. God gave me everything. Selfishness got me here. Just imagine how he looks at me now. Why should I keep on living? Why didn't I just die? Why? I spoke and burst into tears. Do you remember how you loved to pick things and repair them? He asked me calmly. Yes, but what has it gotten to do with everything? Just answer me. The things you used to clean, paint, renew, decorate, were they new? No. If not, there won't be any need to give them a new life. It's your old state that attracted me. Exactly. It is this broken state of yours that attracts God. Come unto me, you heavy loaded, and I will give you rest. His word says, if only you are ready, tell him how you feel. Tell him you can't do anything on your own, and he will take total control of the situation. In these words, I remembered all the things my dad and my mom said to me the last time I saw them. From the depth of my heart, I confessed to God, and indeed, from that day on, he picked me up and made me who I am today. David and I got married. We got our own company, and we raised our kid and grandkids with all the love we had and fear of God. When we are not working, we are evangelizing to those that are out there and still ignorant of God's love for us all.